Hare Krishna. Hope that you're all well and safe and advancing in Krishna consciousness. Here we're doing very well, missing Prikama, but doing very well. And we have a special program for you today. We're going to take you to Vrinda. So for that we'll sing the very famous song that Srila Prabhupada gave us for Tulsi Arti. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi. Namo Namo Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Abhi Lasi. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Abhi Lasi. Namo Namo Je tomara sharana lai Tara bancha purna. Je tomara sharana lai Tara bancha purna. Kripa kori koro tore Vrindavana Vasi. Kripa kori koro tore Vrindavana Vasi. Namo Namo Morae Abilat Bilasa Kunjeri Ovad. Morae Abilat Bilas Kunjeri Ovad. Nayane Herivo Sada Jugala Ruparasi. Dayane Herivo Sada Jugala Ruparasi. Namo Namo E Nivedana Dara Sakiranugata Koro. E Nivedana Dara Sakiranugata Koro. Sevadi koro diye koro nijadasi. Sevadi koro diye koro nijadasi. Namo Namo Deena Krishna dase goy Eye namorai. Deena Krishna dase goy Eye namorai. Shri Radha Govinda preme sadaye nabasi. Shri Radha Govinda preme sadaye nabasi. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi. Namo Namo Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. So we'd like to welcome you this evening, and hoping that you're all very safe and sound and advancing in Krishna consciousness. Today we have a very special treat for you. We found a very ancient video. We're going to take you all the way back to Vrinda back in 1999, when practically nothing was there. The new temple wasn't there. There was hardly any trees. You could see the hill of Nandagam. It was very, very special, old, ancient video that we just happened to find. So we hope you enjoy today. Hare Krishna.
This is Gupta Kunda. We'll tell everything. So anyway, this very nice place, very peaceful place, is known as Vrinda Kunda. So there's one book called Bhakti Ratnakar. In Bhakti Ratnakar it says that just see on the western side of Nandeshwar Parvat, Nandagam Hill, the place where Vrinda Devi stays and arranges all the leelas of Prabhu. You see in the distance, this is Nandeshwar Parvat. This is the village of Nanda Maharaj. As you remember, Krishna was born in Gokul, then later, right after the Damodar Leela, then Upananda, he called all the cowherd men into a meeting. And he explained that now, first this Putana came, then this Sakatasura came, then this Trunarvata came. So many demons have come here to disturb. And just recently, without any cause, these two huge Arjun trees came crashing down. We were showing you on the way here, Arjun trees. Those are small ones. You go to Mauritius and you can see huge old Arjun trees. And then you can understand the importance of these Arjun trees. Because I was always wondering why this Leela is known as Arjun Banga Leela, breaking the Arjun trees. So why not mango tree or neem tree or any tree? Why Arjun? Always Yamal Arjun. Yamal means twins. So why do we always hear Yamal Arjun, Yamal Arjun? So they invited me to come to Mauritius for Janmashtami. And this time, as we sit here, this is cyclone season in Mauritius. There's this little island, 40 kilometers wide and 60 kilometers long. That's it. And in the middle of the ocean. So this season, huge cyclones come with 200 kilometer per hour winds. So everything just gets ripped up and torn away. But I saw on all the roads, especially around our temple, there's these huge Arjun trees lining all the roads. Because they have a when you see Arjun tree, when they're nice and old, they're right here from the trunk, the roots come snaking out just like walls, snaking into the ground, not, if you understand what I mean, just coming out from the side, these roots just come out like this, just like walls, and they snake into the ground. They have heavy root bases. So those trees, they don't blow over in this. Everything else blows over, but those Arjun trees, all along, that's the only thing you see along the roads because they don't get blown over. So then I understood, this pastime became more sweet. As then I understood that even 200 kilometer per hour winds don't knock them over, and Nandanandan, he knocked two over at once. So this Leela became even more sweet by going to Mauritius. They could understand. So after that, these two Arjun trees, without any cause, they came crashing down. So Upananda decided it's not safe to live here, we should go to Vrindavan. So they packed all their belongings on bullock carts, and all the mothers and children on bullock carts, and all the cowherd men walking around with their bows and arrows on the sides, and then all around, hundreds and hundreds, how many? 9 lakhs. You know 1 lakh? 900,000 cows, almost 1 megabyte. And all those cows look just like ocean of milk. All these beautiful white cows surrounded, walking all around, just like ocean of milk. And where they were going over the hills looked just like the waves in that ocean of milk. And that time Krishna was very small. So he was asking so many questions. You know little boys. It's like we have one little boy here. Where is he? Huh? He's hiding from Singapore. So little boys, they ask too many questions, isn't it? All day long. Mataji, what is this? Pitaji, what is this? So Krishna and Baldev, they're just little boys. They're sitting on the lap of Rohini and Yasoda. And they're going along. Then Lala, he says, oh Maya, what is this tree what's got a beard? What is this tree what's got a beard? Mother Yasoda, she looked. Then she saw banyan tree. You've seen banyan tree? He's got different type. This one, we just described roots of the Arjun tree. They come out from the side, but the banyan tree roots, they come out from the branches and hang down just like beards. So Mother said, Lala, this is banyan tree. So then they went a little further. And Lala said, Maya, what is this tree whose leaf has got a tail? What is this tree whose leaf has got a tail? Maya, tell me, what is this leaf? Aswata. We heard about Aswata tree. This Aswata tree. So Lala, this is people tree. So they went a little further. They said, oh Maya, what is this sound? What is this sound? So she listened, she heard the peacock. So Lala, this is peacock. Peacock is calling, Kika! Kika! K Radha, Ka Krishna. Peacock is calling Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. But Rupa Goswami explains there's a deeper meaning. Peacock is calling K. K means who. Just like when Sanatana Goswami met Lord Chaitanya at Dasasvamedha Ghat, then he told everyone is telling that I am a great Pandit, but I don't even know Kayami. Who am I? And why I am suffering from this three-tup, this threefold miseries. He said, Kayami. Who am I? K means who. So what is the question? The question is that there is Krishna, Sri Krishna, he is Rasaraj, he is ocean of ras. He is Rasaraj, Sri Krishna. Who is there in this whole universe who can possibly reciprocate with this great ocean of ras that is Rasaraj, Sri Krishna? And the answer is Ka. It is only she. Sri Radha, who is Mahabhav. With her ocean of Mahabhav, she's able to reciprocate with this Rasaraj Sri Krishna. And of course we know when that Mahabhav and Rasaraj combine together, then that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose appearance day we're celebrating in a very few days. That is the union of Rasaraj and Mahabhav. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Ati. So this is deeper meaning of the peacock. Oh. Of course, our Achyuta, he has another idea. He says the peacock is calling, New York! New York! So anyway, they went a little further. Then Lala said, oh Maya, what is this tree with the little yellow fruits? What is this tree with the little... Just like all along the road, if you might have noticed, or if you go around Vrindavan and Prikama, you see all the Brijbazis sitting with little baskets with little yellowish fruits. This is, in Sanskrit, called Badri. Just like that Badrinath is named after the Badri tree that grows there. We here in Braj, we have so many Badri trees. In Hindi, we call bear. So everywhere you see, so Mother Yasoda said, Lala, this is bear. This is Badri. This is Badri farm. So like this, finally they came here to Nandagam. So now this Nandagam, he's actually incarnation of Lord Shiva. Just like Govardhan, we know that is incarnation of Vishnu. And Barsan is incarnation of Lord Brahma. So this Nandagam is incarnation of Lord Shiva. All the three, this dust of Braj is so important. All the Vaishnava Acharyas have given so much importance to this dust of Braj. This dust, because when Nandanandan was here in Braj, he was walking around with barefoot. He wasn't wearing shoe. When he went to Mathura and Dwarka, then he became king. So you have never seen king come outside his palace without shoe. You have seen? coming outside his palace without shoe king. Always. Even Sanatana Goswami says in Vaikuntha, Lord Vishnu, he has got his slippers. But in this Braj, Nandalala, he's running here and there with his barefoot, so this dust is mixed with the dust of that touched the lotus feet of Brijanananda and Shamsundar. So all Vaishnavacharyas agree. So much so, these three personalities, they have appeared here in Braj in the form of hills, just so this dust will come on top of them anyway, anyhow. They'll just be completely covered by this dust of Braj. So this is Nandeshwar Parvat. So it says just on the western side. Now if I would stay here, because my daughter's getting married on 21st March. That is a day when day and night are equal. And if we're sitting in front of the Vrinda Devi temple on the 21st March, then just behind the temple tower the sun will come. First the whole sky will turn pink, like the bottoms of Radharani's lotus feet. Then it will become golden like the body of Mahaprabhu. Then suddenly you'll see this golden orange orb come up directly. You'll see this, the black outline of the temple behind you. So we're directly on the western side of Nandeshwar Parvat. Actually in his book, see in the noontime we sing Vrindadev Astak, which is written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I think he must have sat here and written this thing, and then he turned around and he saw Nandagram, and he wrote very beautiful Nandeshwar Astak. And he also wrote in his book, Brajriti Chintamani, he has a very nice verse there. He's describing whole of Vrindavan. And he says, Tattachirabhutam aparashobam nandisharam saruganavaranti nandisharam yantadiri rupam srinandarajalaya rajamanam. So he's been discussing Vrindavan, so he says tat referring back to the pronoun referring back to, he's talking about Vrindavan. So tat, of that Vrindavan that I'm describing, he said tat Chirabhutam, the crown of that Vrindavan. Previously he described the Govardhan as a tilak. Govardhan is a tilak mark of Braj. So the crown of Braj, aparashobam, of unlimitedly expanding beauty, splendor, that is this Nandeshwar Parvat. This is the crown of Braj, the crown jewel of Braj. Tatachirabhutam aparashobam Nandiswaram Sadhu Ganavara. Not that just Vishwanath Chakravarti alone is telling, Sadhugan. He says Sadhugan Vadanti. The sadhus are telling. All the sadhus are telling this is the crown of Braj. So this is the best darshan here from Vrindavan. You can see. In his Nandeshwar Astak, there was one very nice verse. I'm sure he must have sat here and written it, because that is a view, he describes the view you can see from here. He says, Yatra Vrajadi Pepura Pratima Prakasha Prasara Murda Kalaso Parinitarangi Bahikshate Bhuvijaya Dvajaketu Bhuto Nandishwaram Samaramandam Udam Dadatu Yatra Vrajadipe Pura Pratima Praka. Vrajadipe means the king of Braj. Yatra, in that place, the palace of the king of the Braj, Prakasha, is shining. Yatra Vrajadipe Pura Pratima Prakasha is Pura. His city is shining there on top of the hill. Prasada Murda Kalaso Parinitarangi. He says on top of the palace there are Murd. Murd means dome. Prasada Murda, and above dome then there's Kalas. This you see always at top of the dome, there's this Kalas. And above that even he says Nityarangi, something's always dancing. You just see closely by your eye, you'll see. What is it? He says Barhikshate Bhuvi Jaya Dvajaketu Bhuta. Barhi means, you know, we're singing every day. Barhavatam Sammasitam Buddha Sundaram. Barhi means peacock. So he said Bar Ikshate. Barhi Ikshate. Ikshate means to see. And what else? Jayadvaj. No? Just like in your Lachwa, there's Jayadvaj Swami is there. From Argentina, one fellow is there. Jayadvaj. So Jayadvaj means this victory flag, you see? He's dancing in the wind on top of the kalas. You see, dome is there, and then kalas, and then on top you can just see this victory flag. Not ordinary. Jayad Vajaketa Bhuta, very wonderful victory flag is dancing there. Nityarangi. Parikshite Bhuvi Jayad Vajaketa Bhuto, Nandiswaram Samaramandam Udam Dadatu. May that Nandeshwar Parvat give me unlimited amounts of happiness. Give all of us, not just me, all of us. He's praying for all of us. So we're on the western side of that Nandeshwar Parvat. And here Vrinda Devi remains eternally, organizing all of the pastimes of Braj. Every morning, from the eastern side comes Purnamasi, who's Yogmaya. And she comes along with Nandamukhi, and she sits here with Vrinda Devi, and then they plan out all the Leelas of Braj from this place. Just like there's one other Tulsi song. What is that? Tulasi Maharani Vrinde Maharani Namo Namo. And that was one verse that says, even if you offer 56 preparations and 37 savories to the Lord, if there's no Tulsi leaf, he doesn't even see it from the corner of his eye. He doesn't look. We're all thinking, oh, it's late, we haven't had breakfast, we're all anxiously awaiting prasadam, we don't care whether it's offered or not right now, we're very hungry. But Lord, He doesn't even care to see, even if 56 preparations are there, 37 savories are there, He doesn't even care to see it. Unless Tulsi leaf is there. The same way, no Leelas are going on in Braj, unless Vrinda Devi's hand is there. She's organizing all this. They sit here with Purnamasi, and this is the, you can say, Braj Leela Planning Commission, this place. It's how important this place is. Sometimes Nandanandan, he sneaks over from Nandagram, he gives his suggestion. Sometimes Radharani comes from Barsana, she gives her suggestion. It is all planned out in this place. And, of course, in the picture of the deity, there's so many garlands you can't see, but in Vrinda Devi's hand, in her left hand, she's holding a lotus. On top of the lotus is sitting one tota, one parrot. Just like all these little parrots we see. So that parrot, his name is Daksha. He has got 100,000 of disciples. And they fly all over Braj and come back and tell Vrinda Devi everything that's going on. Who said what to who said what to who, and where is so-and-so, and what is so-and-so doing, and what this one is doing, what that one is doing. Everything that's going on, they come back. In fact, they must have all flown here today and told Vrinda Devi that all these people from so many places, from Singapore, from Europe, from Croatia, from so many, from Bosnia, from so many places, America, so many places, South Africa even. So many people are coming here today, from Russia. So all these parrots are flying here and there and coming. Sometimes they deliver messages like that. So this is, so Vrinda Devi, she has got one roof as the goddess of all the forests of Vrindavan. Whole Vrindavan is named after Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Bandhu. Bandhu means forest. Of course, nowadays everybody's cutting the trees and making houses, but actually Vrindavan is supposed to mean forest. Actual meaning is forest. Therefore, with great difficulty, we're trying. Here we have very, very bad soil, so it takes a long time for anything to grow, and sometimes it doesn't grow. You see here, even weeds don't grow, so I don't know what we're going to do with this piece of. We have to dig this all out and bring in some new dirt. So we're trying to restore a little bit of that forest of Vrindavan, Vrinda Devi's forest. So, like that Vrinda Devi, she's called, in that Vrinda Devastak, Vishwanath Chakravarti calls her the Leela Shakti. She's the pastime energy of the Lord for organizing all of the pastimes of Braj. She's Leela Shakti. pastime energy of the woman. So sometimes people ask, what about this Vrinda Devi in Kamyavan? Well, that Vrinda Devi, she was originally in Radha Govinda temple. And then, when they moved Radha Govinda to Kamyavan, then she also went along up to Kamyavan. And then when they took from Kamyavan, they took Govindaji to Jaipur, then they tried to lift Vrinda Devi and she refused to move. So she's staying there. That Vrinda Devi Didi is staying there in Kamyavan. Very, very beautiful Didi. But otherwise, this is the, as Bhakti Ratnakar says, on the western side of Nandeswar Parvat, is the place where Vrinda Devi eternally resides, organizing all the pastimes of Braj. Now backside we have another small kund. This is called Gupta Kund. Gupta means secret. So here very, very secret pastimes are taking place. Just after the morning leelas. Morning leelas means that every day Radharani comes to cook for Nandanandan. Because she got benediction from Durvas Muni. One time Durvas Muni, the Durvas Muni, he's a very angry Muni. Everybody's very much afraid of him. So he came here with very fierce looking and a big curly beard and so much hair piled up. Gata, all this. You see the sadhus, they make their hair like this with tree sap and mud, and so all the ladies are just, they're just imagining. So, like that. So, carrying his little stick for sitting under his arm and chanting his japa, he came with his stick, very fierce. So all the little gopikas, they ran away except for Srimati Radhika. And she told Baba, sit down, the Durvas Muni. She just told him, just sit down, Baba, sit down. And then, just in play, she took some clay and she made a little chula stove, just like you see in the village. So the village girls sometimes like that, in play, they make a little, and they make all little clay laddus and puris, just like they see them before Radha. And she was doing like that. She said, sit down, Baba. And then she made all these little clay pots, and she was pretending like she's cooking, and she made all sabji and puri and laddu and everything. Then she came to Durvas Muni and she said, take Baba. And he's just saying, Are Lali, this is all just drink. How I can take? No, Lala. No, Baba, take Baba. And she took one laddu, and she put it to his mouth, and he's going, wait a minute, Lali, it's a whole, take Baba. Like that. Come on, Baba, take Baba. So somehow or other, he tasted that laddu, and it was so sweet. He had never tasted laddu like that in his life. And just from his heart, when benediction comes out from the heart, it is very powerful. It's like you see in India, the little children, all the little children should listen very carefully. In India, all the children, they come in the morning to their elders, their mother and father and elderly family members, and they touch their feet. Then automatically, the elders, they become so happy when they see them so well behaved like this. Automatically from the heart, Aishmandava, they say, you just live a long life. It comes out automatically. That comes from the heart. That is very powerful benediction. So, Durvas Muni, he was so happy. He just said, Aye, Lali, whatever you cook will be just as sweet as nectar. And whoever tastes your cooking, he'll never get touched by any disease. So when the Brijbasis found out about this, then they insisted that Radharani has to cook for Nandanandan. Because it's very interesting. All the Brijbasis, they love Nandanandan more than they love their own child. Ourselves, we're very much attached to our own child and not to others' child. But the Brijbasis, they're more attached to Nandanandan than their own child. And parents, they always worry about that my child may get some disease and die. When you came here, your parents told those who have children, their parents said, why are you going to that place? It is so much diseases there, they may get sick there. They give so much trouble, mothers and fathers, when you try to come here with your children. So they're always worried. So like that. So when they heard Nandanandan has got this, that Radharani's got this benediction, they insisted if she will cook for Nandanandan, then he'll never get any disease, he'll live for a very long time, and we'll all be very, very happy. So every day Radharani, she comes and cooks. One day she made Manohar laddus. You know Manohar? Man means More.
More.
That's more. That's what you say. Mind, heart. And har is like hare. Har means to steal. Heart enchanting lotus. Huh? Heart enchanting lotus. Manohar lotus. So that day Radharani, she stayed behind because there's one room, all the cowherd boys sit down, and Mother Rohini and Mother Yasoda, they serve out all the cowherd boys prasadam, and they're assisted by Dhanista, Mother Yasoda's little servant girl, and she is very expert how to get some of the chewed remnants of Nanda Nandan and tie it in the end of her sari to take back to Radharani and Javant. Chewed remnants, those that came right, Maha Prasad, chewed by Lord Krishna. So she's very expert. So that time Radharani, she stayed behind and she's peeking from the window to see what's going on. So Nandalala, he also noticed from the corner of his eye, he saw Srimati Radhika is peeking from the window. He also saw on his plate so many Manohar laddus were there. So immediately he took one of those laddus, he popped it in his mouth and began to eat. And Radharani, she became so frightened. What's happened? So Nandanandan, he pushed all those laddus over onto Sridham's plate. Now Sridham saw all of Lala's laddus has come on his plate. Immediately he began to take ping, 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 ping. Very happily he was eating those Manohar laddus like this. Then Radharani, oh, this rascal, he's just teasing. So after morning pastimes, these cooking pastimes, then this road here goes to Brokar, which is the Goshala of Nanda Maharaj. So Nandanandan, on the plea of going to the Goshala, he comes wandering down in this direction. Radharani tells Lalita and Visakha and all her Sakhis that I've heard there's a very beautiful garden on the western side of Nandeswar hill. All the descriptions. Someday when we fight with the soil and get it nice, and we'll plant all of those nice trees. Hari Chandan and, what is it? Hari Chandan and Parijata, and there's one, a flowering Ashok. So many beautiful trees are there. So we'll plant all these trees. It's beautiful garden trees. I want to go and see that garden. So she comes by another path, and Nandanandan comes by this path, and very secretly, Gupt, they have meeting here. Now this is very, very confidential meeting. In the middle of this Kuptikam appears a beautiful lotus flower. In the middle of that beautiful lotus flower, there's a beautiful jeweled throne. It's like we're praying every morning when we see Radha Swami Kunda. Vrinda, what is it? Srimad Vrinda. What is it? Upaita Drinara, Srimad Ratnagara Srimad Srila Radha Vrinda, Devo Prestali Sorry. They're sitting on beautiful jeweled Ratna Singhasan. Jeweled. So this beautiful throne appears in the middle of that lotus flower. And Radha and Krishna are there. Around there's 8 petals. On those 8 petals, Lalita, Sakhi and Vishakha and all the 8 Sakhis are sitting in between. 8 more petals come, and all the Astamanjaris are sitting in those petals. Then another 16 petals come, another 16 manjaris, another 32 petals come, 32 manjaris, and 64, then 128, like that until there's megabytes and megabytes of gopis and manjaris and sakhis all sitting. This is called Yogapit. Only the most confidential sakhis and manjaris can come in this meeting. This is called Yoga. This is the Pratakali, morning. This is the first meeting, first Yogapit of Braj. It's like Radhakund, that is the noontime Yogapit. And behind Govindadev temple in Vrindavan, that is the nighttime, Shayan Kalin Yogapit. This is the first yoga. This is such an important place.
This is morning Yogapit.
Yeah, this is good. So one time, you see the one raised platform, that is the Samadhi of Baba Madhavdas, whose disappearance day is coming just after the Vrindavan festival ends on 18th March. So, he found this place, little discarded, and not very developed, and he began to develop it. Then he got cancer.
So then he came to me one day and said, I got this, and I had never seen this place. Just from the road, because you can see the two-story building. I used to point out to people across the fields, this is Vrinda Kunda. Vrinda Devi, she's in charge of all the leelas of Braj. She keeps little go-downs, little warehouses here and there, where she stores all the paraphernalia necessary for the leelas, and she decides everything, what trees will be there, what flowers they'll have, what scents they'll have, what birds will be there, what songs they'll sing, who else will be there, what service they'll do. Everything is under her control. So I used to point out this place, but I had never been, so I came here with Baba. And it was just like you were experiencing, it was very peaceful and quiet, nobody's here to bother you. And he was impressing me, this is such an important place. And he said he'd been to everyone. And then I found out that it's not just, I thought it was just ISKCON mantra. Whenever you go to your GBC or your temple presidents and you have some new plan, some new idea, first thing they say is, no men, no money. Isn't it? So, it's not just ISKCON mantra, this is universal mantra. Because Baba told me he went to even outside of Gaudiya, because Tulsi is important by all the four sampradayas. He went to so many people trying to, because he was going to die, and who was going to take care of Vrinda? He had cancer. He was going back to God, there's no question. He said everybody just said no men, no money. But I came here and I saw how peaceful this place, and I began to think, well, just like that Jagannath temple in Mayapur, Prabhupada made Lord Jagannath famous all over the world. Not everywhere. Even in Singapore they had Jagannath Rath Yatra. It's very difficult. You can't do anything. If you even sneeze in Singapore, they give you a fine. If you look cross-eyed, somehow or other, to do Jagannath Rath is very difficult. But somehow even in this far-off place, Singapore, so many places, in Malaysia, a Muslim country, I think more Rath Yatras go on in Malaysia than in the whole America put together. There's so many, and in Muslim, it is, the national religion is Islam. And they have more Jagannath, everywhere they have Rath Yatra there. All over the world, Prabhupada made, so that Jagannath temple came to Prabhupada's lotus feet. The same way, Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi, she's become famous all over the world. I tell all the Brishbazis here that as much money as you spend on your house, these people spend that much money on building a house so Vrinda Devi, so Tulsi Devi can stay in their country. Because it's very cold there. It's not like, even here, we see, this winter was so miserable that all the Tulsis of Braj, just barely little tiny, somehow we put big heavy cloth, woolen cloth all around our Tulsi, just little tiny leaves are coming up. But everywhere else in Braj, if they didn't protect her, if they didn't take them inside, we just made a nice Tulsi house in Vrindavan also. We spent almost a lakh of rupees for that. So as much as the Brishvasis they spend on their own houses, these people, they spend that much money. They're so devoted to Tulsi Devi, they spend that much money to build a house just to keep her in the warm and safe in the winter time. This way Tulsi has become famous all over the world. So in that way, although Baba had approached many people, somehow we got the opportunity to render service here to Vrinda Devi in this place. One of the most is hidden, but it is most important, one of the most important places in Braj. A very, very peaceful place. So after the Vrindavan festival, then on 18th March we'll have all night. 17th we'll spend all night having kirtan. Then 18th there'll be a big feast for all the devotees, all the sadhus, Radhe Radhe, all the villagers. Prabhupada says, so many, I looked through Foley, so many places Prabhupada says, just see in Vrindavan, everybody says Radhe Radhe. One time I went to Alachra and I have one god sister there named Janava. And she's old. She's, even for me, she's older god sister. And she has got two daughters. One is Jai Radhe and the other is, what is her name? Radha Priya and Jai Radhe. So she told me, you know why I named her Jai Radhe? He said, because we were sitting in New York one time in Prabhupada's, in that little apartment behind 26 2nd Avenue. And somebody knocked on the door and Prabhupada began to laugh.
He said, if I am sitting in Vrindavan, nobody will come and knock on my door. They will come to the window and they will call out, Jai Radhe. I will also not go to the door to answer it. I will just lean toward the window and I will say, Jai Radhe. So she named her daughter Jai Radhe because Prabhupada told me. So many tapes I saw Prabhupada. All the Brishvasis always saying Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe. You see everybody going along, they'll all call out. So, anyway, I forgot where we were when he called out.
You were saying that after a festival there will be all night chanting and feeding.
We'll have all night, they'll feed all the sadhus of Nandagam and then all the devotees, and then we'll have food for life for all the villagers. So this tree here, first of all, this is the original deity that was here. Baba later installed a deity of Vrinda Devi. Unfortunately, that deity was stolen and broken. Although we recovered it, it was broken. So in Braj, it's not proper to worship broken deities. So now we're... In fact, I'm not even supposed to be here telling you all these pastimes. I'm supposed to be in the lecture. But they just called from Jaipur and told that the deity will be ready on 28th. So I just changed all my plans. So the new deity. But this is the original deity. It's been here for thousands of years. When we first came, we couldn't make out what it was. It was so covered with, thousands of years of oil and milk and whatever else the Vishvasis pour over top of the deity. So Devi Shakti came here every Sunday and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed. Finally we could make out that it must have been Radha and Krishna, and there's little figures all around, so maybe Ashtasakis were there. So this is natural because we're praying every day to Vrinda Devi. The Nayane Harivo Sada Yugala Rupa Rasa. Of course, some of us are praying, what is it? More Abilas, America Ediova, Nayane Harivo Sada, Dollar Rupa Rasa. Some of our local devotees are singing like this. But we want to see this Yugala Rupa in front of us. Yugal means this divine couple. Just like yoga means to join. Yugal means two people who are joined, divine couple. We want to see that Yugal Rupa before our very eyes. Nayane Harivo Sada Yugala Rupa Rasa. Beautiful form of the divine couple. So naturally, Radha and Krishna and the Ashtasakis, this is a very interesting deity also. Although it's broken and we don't worship it inside the temple. Baba told me the story, and then later some of the old villagers came from Nandagam and they told me the story, and then another time some other old villagers from Nandagam came and they told me the same story. So when you hear the same story from different sources, then you begin to understand there must be something true about it. But Baba told me that one time, because anytime you dig a foundation to build a wall or a house or anything, you always find these murtis in the ground all around here. Where you go to the Shringa temple on the other side in Nandagam, you'll see there in the courtyard there's so many murtis when they dug the wall. So sometimes people come and they steal these murtis because they can take them to the west and sell them for a lot of money. So some thief came here, he picked up the deity and went to the side of the hill, and they were keeping them in a secret place on the side of the hill. Then one night they brought a great big bullock cart and they were loading them all on the bullock cart. So one guy, he picked up Vrinda Devi, or tried to pick up this deity, the Vrinda Kunda deity. He couldn't pick it up. Then 2 tried, then 3 tried, and they said, all right, hold it, leave it here. In the morning, when Vishvazi came on his way to the fields, he said, is this the Vrinda Kunda deity? What is it doing here? He put it on his shoulder and brought it back and put it underneath this tree. Now the old villagers from this Borokar, where Nanda Maharaj's Goshala was, they came here, they told me one guy from there took this deity and all his goats and buffaloes began to die. So immediately he ran back and put the deity here. So this deity is sitting under a chokra. In the local language, this tree is called chokra. And in Sanskrit it's called Sami Vriksh. You might have read in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada mentions that Sami wood is used for jagya. So this is Sami Vriksha. And this size, very rare, they grow very slowly. And this size is very, very, very rare. Now because of the winter, she's lost all, even the Krishna Balaram tree, he's lost all his leaves, because he's also chokra. You know, behind our temple, this Krishna Balaram, he's same tree. And just like that Krishna Balaram tree, sitting on his shoulder there behind our temple, there's one white people tree. You see, this is blackish, and this one is whitish. So here, just 2 years ago, just by himself, this people tree just appeared. So Krishna Balaram also appeared here. But like this, such old chokra tree, you never find anywhere. And this wood is used for yagya. He gets little fruits in the summertime. They're like, almost like tiny little tamarind, but very dry. Completely dry. But they taste sort of like, the ice cream cone. I call it the Braj chocolate. They taste almost, they're crunchy like that, and they have that sort of powdery, sweet taste. Like I just used to sweep them away, but I saw the Brijvasis coming here, picking them up and chewing on them. So then what is this? So this is a Braj candy. They get little tiny, like imli or anything like that. Little seed pods. So it's too cold today, otherwise we could all go swimming also. But at least we can take some of this water, because now very soon the Pujari has made the offering, and then we'll sing Arti, and we can all sit down and take prasadam. So is there any questions? I know Bhakta Mike always has so many questions. It's like Nanda Lala.
This deity you don't worship?
Because according to Shastra, a broken deity should never be worshipped.
Where's the deity of Vrinda Devi now?
We've kept her somewhere secure.
Hidden. But how did you find?
That, I got the news and I came out here, and we were all just here completely crushed. And all of a sudden, the villagers came running from this side, carrying Vrinda Devi deity on top of their heads, and 2 kilometers up the road. They had, up to that time she wasn't broken, but when they threw her face down, so her benediction hand cracked.
But just when they were bringing her?
No, when whoever the thieves were, they threw her they left her, because the villagers, they saw something shining, because that time of year, there was a lot of hosts, what do we call, dew. I can't think in Hindi, So, they saw something shining on the side of the road, and so they ran over to see what it was, and they saw that it was a stone, and when they flipped it over, they saw it was the Vrinda Devi deity from the backside. And then we saw that the hand was broken.
When was that?
So, this is about a year ago. So then, what was I going to say? So just because the only damage they'd done is they'd scratched the paint, because you couldn't see that it was marble because she was completely covered with paint. So they just scratched the paint. That's actually the only damage they did. Only when they threw her, she broke. But it's just like Mayapur, wherever the foreigners are there, then everything must be made of gold or silver. Just like they stole Radhamada under the idea that the deities are meant to be solid gold. Even here, if you understand Hindi, you sit in the samadhi all day, you hear the villagers, they come in, ye pura sone ka murti hai, ye 10 man sona hai. They all come in, this pure gold murti, he's made of 10 mans. Man is like 40 kilos, 400 kilos of gold, and telling so many stories like this. So wherever foreigners are there, everything must be made of gold or silver. So same reason. And when they found there was no gold or silver, they just threw her by the side of the road. So then she came back the very next day. So now we're having a very beautiful one. Like I said, just they told me 28th she'll be ready, so I'm cancel all my plans. I'll leave after Gopurnim. So I promised everybody last I would come there for Gopurnim, and I changed everything.
The one is made from marble.
No, no one is also marble.
No.
From Jaipur. Jaipur automatically means marble.
What, black marble?
No, white.
But it'll be painted again the same way?
Not completely. The levers, everybody can see that it's marble. This is full-size murti. That one was just like relief. And these, you see on the other bank, these two trees here, these are kadamba trees, very small. Those are actually 7 years old, to give you an idea how slow kadamba trees are. No, this is a jamun. You know gulab jamun? Gulab jamun is named after the fruit of this tree. Gulab comes from rose, because real gulab jamun has rose water in it. And this tree's fruit is sort of very black and oblong shaped. So he's called jamun. This is jamun tree, but those two without any leaves, because not this time of year they lose all their leaves. Those are kadamba trees. I'll take it. Alright. Srimati Vrinda Devi ki.
So we hope you enjoy this wonderful program, going way back into the past, before there was a new temple in Vrindakund and anything. So we hope you all remain safe and increase your Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimati Vrinda Devi ki jai.